For generations, the firstborn children of the rulers of the planets Rutan and Sonali have been exchanged at the age of 7. This was meant to promote peace and understanding between the societies. Now it has led them to the brink of war. Lead, the heir to the Rutan throne, does not want to return to his home planet. His father will stop at nothing to get him back. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi must prevent this rift from turning to bloodshed. It is their hardest challenge yet.
Hello, younglings, and welcome back to the Padawan Library, the podcast that reviews junior Star Wars novels, not full-length ones, the chapter books written for 7 to 10-year-olds. I'm Levi Paratic. With me is my co-host, who is a man who is feeling many things. He is feeling many emotions because this man has made a mistake, and he feels some guilt about this mistake. This man, of course, is my co-host, Tim May.
Yes.
Tim,
yes.
Tell the audience how you're feeling.
This is a great sadness, a great dismay on my part that in the previous episode, I was editing the episode this morning. This is the Thursday before this is where we record these episodes about a week out. And
right.
So I was editing last week's episode. And we make a reference to the song Act Naturally, which has a very famous version by the Beatles, sung by Ringo Starr. And I said, oh yeah, that's a cover, right? It's a Carl Perkins cover, right? And no. It is not a Carl Perkins song. Act Naturally is, of course, a Buck Owens song. And I felt deeply ashamed by this when I was listening back to it. And I felt like I had to correct that. And in fact, I did want to say that we can legally play about 7 seconds of any unlicensed music. So I'm going to say I'm going to play a 1989 version of Act Naturally by both Buck Owens and Ringo Starr for you right now.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me. They'll make a film about a man that's sad and lonely. And all I gotta do is act naturally. Well, I bet you I'm gonna be a big star. Might win an Oscar, you can never tell. The movie's gonna make me a big star, 'cause I can play the part so well.
You know what blows me away about that?
What?
Is that they sound identical. There's almost no difference in their voices.
They sound so similar. Did you watch the video, too?
Yeah, I did.
It is wild.
So silly. It's so over the top. Everybody should check that out.
Yeah, we'll post that on the Instagram. That'll be great Star Wars content for our fans.
It will be. All right. Now, moving on from there, we want to introduce a new segment, a segment that I came up with today. Previously, in the episode 1 the Padawan Library 20th Episode 1 20th Anniversary Extravaganza. Whew, had a hard time saying that.
Yeah, the title is so confusing. Keeping it consistent over the various platforms as I was uploading it was difficult. That's all I'll say.
I typed it so many times that my autocorrect, all I had to do was type 2 letters and it knew the exact word like that I needed to do.
That's
like
incredible.
Every
Yeah.
time. So anyway, we did some heavily talked about Rick Olay, and something I felt bad about is that I told everybody that Rick Olay, of course, played the character of Del Preston, the roadie in Wayne's World 2, but I did not give his actual name. So this new segment is dedicated solely to this man. This is Rick Revelations. So we're going to do like 1 to 2 revelations per segment.
You are
and
such
the
a
first,
loser. Oh my god.
I know. The first, I'm going to do 2 revelations today, Tim. The first revelation is this man's name, Rick Brown.
Rick Brown.
That's the first Rick revelation.
So it's like Bob
And-
Newhart or someone like that, where like every character they play is their own name.
No,
Oh.
like I didn't say his name in that episode, like his actual name. He
No.
plays Rick Olay. His actual name in the real world is Ralph Brown.
Ralph Brown. I thought you said Rick Brown.
Oh, I did say Rick Brown, didn't
Oh.
I?
You fooled me.
This is where that confusion comes from. I was so confused. For a second. Anyway, all right, Ralph Brown. This isn't a revelation, all right, but one of his upcoming roles is in Ang Lee's The Gemini Man
Oh,
with Will
wow.
Smith.
That
So,
rules. I'm
yeah.
looking forward to that movie.
Yeah, get excited for that. But now for the next Rick revelation, he played the character of Aaron in Alien 3.
Oh, I knew, like, he looked familiar and, like, you recognize him from places, but you're not sure. Alien 3, by the way, I'm a huge
Rules.
supporter of Alien 3.
Yeah.
I think
So-
it's, like, almost as good as the first 2. I hate basically all the other Alien movies after that, but it's like, although I haven't seen Covenant, to be fair. But
I haven't either.
I keep putting it off. I will watch it one day. But Alien 3, like, is uncompromising. It rules.
I know. I
and, like,
agree.
this has some, I mean, if you're into Fincher, there's some really cool, just early Fincher-type sequences, music video-type
Right.
stuff that I really like. But, yeah.
Yes. So
He's a scumbag in
worked-
that. Everybody in it is a scumbag in that.
Well, I do want to say real quick. So this part of the Rick revelation here is that Rick has worked with Ang Lee in the upcoming Gemini Man, George Lucas, and David Fincher. This man is in high demand. But another revelation is Alien 3 also, he co-stars in this movie with Paul McGann. Paul McGann and
It's, of course,
Ralph
the
Brown.
eye in Withnail and I. Paul McGann.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
With Nell and I, which if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Criterion put it out. It's a good flick. But that movie also stars Richard E. Grant, who is going to be in the upcoming Rise of Skywalker, who we just got a photo of.
Yes,
Finally, in the latest Vanity Fair spread.
we got the classic Star Wars Annie Leibovitz photo shoot for a new Star Wars movie. Very exciting.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is coming about a week after this came out, but it's worth talking about. I love these photo shoots. I always have. Like, I mean, the prequel ones rule.
I agree.
she's-
I had
she's
that
just
one.
rules.
I had
She
that
does
from episode
iconic
1
stuff.
on.
And she did it for, I think Jedi also has a photo shoot.
Yeah, she's been. I mean, did you watch
She
the
did it
video
for, I
they put
think,
out?
Rolling Stone, I think she was working for at that time, but and that has like the classic like beach photo shoot with Carrie Fisher and like the Gamorrean guards. You've seen that? Yeah.
Yeah, I have, and I think Chewbacca's there, and it was just another excuse to get Carrie Fisher in a bikini.
It's
so.
Annie Leibovitz. I don't know, whatever. It's funny, and that. But yeah, like, and it's not like she's like she's less sexualized on that Rolling Stone cover than she is in the movie.
Very true.
But anyway, but yeah, I read the story too. It's a little less. Abrams is being a bit less cagey this time. We pointed this out last week. I thought that was interesting.
Right.
I mean, he's not saying a lot, or anything. And I don't want him to.
He
either,
keeps it pretty, but I mean,
compared to the last time where it's just like, I'm not gonna say anything and you're gonna like it. It's it's better than that. And the photos are pretty cool. There's nothing as punching and great as the Mark Hamill Carrie Fisher one from the Last
my
Jedi
God! I have that framed in my bathroom.
That is phenomenal photo. It looks like an actual family photo, with Luke and Leia. It's beautiful. It's what I wanted more from these movies. That's all.
I know, but we all do.
Yeah. Anyway, some of the behind the scenes photos we get kind of JJ on set with the Knights of Ren, it looks like. I'm glad they're kind of bringing them back into the fold. That's one Force Awakens thread that I was unhappy to see dropped in Last Jedi, so I'm happy to see that one picked back up.
Something interesting. This makes nobody. This is going to have absolutely no connection. But one of the Knights of Ren is holding an axe thing that it can be seen in Dryden Voss's office in Solo.
Oh yeah, okay. It looked kind of like Cloud's striped sword in Final Fantasy VII to get super dorky. Anyway,
hashtag make Solo 2 happen.
Yeah, it's a thing. You need to explain this to me. You mentioned this to me I went on earlier,
So, I mean, with the Instagram, there's just follow a ton of random Star Wars fans. Not all of you are random. Some of you are great friends of the show. But in the past, since last night into today, so this is now a week overdue, I have been seeing posts where people are saying, use the hashtag make Solo 2 happen in hopes that it will convince Disney to make Solo 2 or at least a mini-series on Disney+. I think also what happened is maybe the movie came out a year ago. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it would have. It would be about the year-long anniversary.
Yeah, so I think that happened, and the people who actually want to see a Solo 2, like myself, but I'm not posting that. I'm not succumbing to that. I'm just going to say it on the show because I'm cool.
Okay, well, I'm not we'll sidebar this for a minute. I don't think it's a bad idea. I like the movie more than most people, not as much as you.
Right.
But
refer to the first episode.
Yeah, you can go back to that one where your ranking of it is absurd, but otherwise, I do like the movie though, and I think a mini-series would. You know what I would actually be okay with. I'm not that excited about a new thing with Han or Lando, but what's the
Kira.
Rebel? What's the Rebel group or whatever at the end?
Oh, Enfys Nest.
Enfys Nest, or
that would be great.
Actually, just the Maul stuff with Kira would actually be an interesting miniseries.
I agree.
That doesn't. I mean, maybe Han shows up, but he's not a huge factor in it.
Right, because it's that's the way it is in the movie is they just go their separate paths basically. So she could have her own story. She's the strongest character, especially new character in that movie.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah,
but no, I think there are threads from that I would like to see picked up, and maybe they could be in something like a Disney Plus miniseries. But I don't know if I'd want a direct sequel. But that's just me, I guess. Back to the Vanity Fair photo shoot for Rise of Skywalker, though. The next picture I'm looking at here is a picture of course, Zori Bliss, as played by Kerry Russell, Elizabeth
Jennings,
Elizabeth
of the
Jennings
American
herself, Felicity herself.
If you have Amazon Prime, go watch The Americans immediately.
Watch The Americans. Watch Felicity. Why don't you? She is one of the greatest TV actors of all time. She's a great actress. Period. I
just bought a copy of Waitress. Have you seen
Waitress? Is a great movie. Waitress
I can't wait now.
I know Waitress is great. Yeah, and the director Adrian Shelley, R.I.P. a legend. She was a great she was in Hal Hartley movies and stuff back in the day. in the
Oh,
90s.
nice.
So I'm a fan of hers, and she died like not long after Waitress came out. Anyway, but I'm excited about this character. Her costume rules.
They haven't revealed her face yet.
Yeah,
and
I was
there's some hot takes with this character too. Do you know about this?
No, I don't. What's going on?
Okay, so in the trailer, you see a ship approaching a mountainous, snowy planet. All right.
Right.
This character here of Zori Bliss is standing on a snowy planet.
Kajimi.
What?
Kajimi is the name of the planet.
Kajimi, yes, I see that on the caption now.
Yeah.
So, Kajimi. The ship approaching Kajimi looks a hell of a lot like the ship that's seen flying away from Jakku when Rey is a little girl.
Really? That's cool. Because when she was cast, I was like, it would be cool if she was playing Rey's mom.
Yes, I agree.
Because, I love Kerry Russell, and I want her to have an important role in the movie. Even if she's not on screen a lot, I don't want her to just be like a throwaway character.
They're keeping her so under wraps, too.
I talk a lot of shit about Abrams on this podcast, but I will say one thing I really love about him is he stands by his people. Felicity, his first show, his best show all the way through. Lost is not his show. I want to point that out. But
right.
But Felicity is like my favorite J.J. Abrams product, basically. That's like his thing, and she rules on that show. And he brought her back for Mission Impossible 3. Matt Reeves, the co-creator, brought her into Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I appreciate their love for Kerry Russell. Not that she needs anything from them at this point. She's Elizabeth Jennings, but
right.
You know,
and here's the thing too.
They should make Matthew Rhys her dad. Why not? Just go.
I agree. Which is where I'm going to go with my next thing. Is that so? Rey has a British accent. Kerry Russell has an extremely British husband who can do a very good American accent. Yes. Welsh husband. So I believe, especially being that she can speak Russian very well, or as I think she's speaking Russian well.
Russian, you know.
Right. That I feel she can do a Welsh accent or an English accent very well. So she could, she'd be the best mom ever, in my opinion.
I really hope I didn't realize there was some connections being made. I just wanted that to be the case, so that's exciting.
Well, what I think is interesting is that Abrams is this one little thing in the trailer is like an answer, like a promise of an answer that was, a question that was left in Force Awakens. So he is promising to us that he's going to tell us something.
And I'm a big fan of The Last Jedi, as people know. And I'm fine with introducing Rey's parents. I just don't want them to be significant to the story thus far. I just want them to be ordinary people, maybe not ordinary people, but not relevant to the Skywalker family. That's
right. And if Last Jedi establishes anything too, it's like the Force can come up anywhere. It doesn't have to be somebody special.
Yeah. By the way, that's established so far before that, and I'm a huge fan of The Last Jedi, but some fans of The Last Jedi push that as if it's like this original idea in Star Wars. It's not. But okay.
Right. I mean, just look in our last book that we read, the Hunt for Truth? No, the Fight for Truth, that you remember Lana.
Yeah, Olana,
just a child.
She came from nowhere, a backwater planet.
Exactly.
There's plenty of just because Anakin is the chosen one and Luke is his son, and those are our two main characters in the previous trilogies. Like, Obi-Wan isn't from any sort of royal blood or anything, but he's still a dope Jedi. Like, people need to relax. Anyway.
Any more photos we want to talk about here?
There's, of course, we mentioned Richard E. Grant. I guess it's not too surprising that he's a First Order guy. He's a Legion General Pride. I was kind of hoping he'd be maybe a friendlier face, because I love Richard E. Grant. And I think he's a very lovable guy. Easily one of... I mean, Withnail and I, we mentioned, is one of my favorite movies of all time. And
he's very silly in that movie, too.
Yeah, it's an incredible performance. an interesting tidbit about that, he plays an unrepentant drunk in that movie, and Richard E. Grant is allergic to alcohol, so he had never been drunk ever in his life, and he was able to play that character, and like it's like one of the great drunk performances of all time. It's great. Anyway.
He's great. I mean, he looks like he's. I already made a reference of this online, but he looks very much like his character in Spice World as the Spice Girls manager.
Yeah, very stern.
Little
stern.
Yeah, a little uptight. However, General Hux carries himself the exact same way, and General Hux is very silly.
Oh my god! I hope that they're both very goofy. I hope that Abrams doesn't pull back the goofiness, because he introduced the goofiness of Hux, and people got mad that Hux got even goofier in Last Jedi. I want him to go even further in Rise of Skywalker.
I mean, like, I love Hux because of the moment, like, in Last Jedi, when, like, Kylo Ren's passed out on the ground, and, like, he seriously considers for a second, like, murdering Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I know. They got
character will stop at nothing.
There's some stuff about, Anthony Daniels. He's been in all of them. I think there's something about in every Vanity Fair cover story about Star Wars from like 99 forward about how Anthony Daniels is the through line. There's a cool photo of John Boyega as Finn, of course, and Naomi Aki as is it Jana or Jaina? I can't remember from the panel.
I want to say it's Jana. Jaina would be too.
That'd be a little weird for them to do that.
That'd be high controversy with some dorks.
Yes, people would need to relax, but they would be very bad.
The Lando in the Falcon photo is great with Poe.
Yeah, I hope people aren't mad about those cool horses.
I know, right? Those
people
rules.
hated the cool, like, rideable characters in Last Jedi, which I also love. So, but whatever. And there's a cool photo of lightsaber fight, and yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. There's Luke and R2.
The Luke one, yes. This is the first time we've seen R2. And this feels very much a promo. With the Force
Ghost, I guess, although he doesn't look ghosty yet, really, in that photo. But that's also like a photo shoot photo, so I don't know.
What if, like, even though Luke's like physical presence is gone, like his astral projection, Luke is still around?
That would be cool. That could be cool, actually.
I just thought of that.
I don't know. I'd have to think about whether that's cool or not. I'm not opposed. There's a cool photo of my boy John Williams, a.k.a. C.O. Bibble, conducting the score. And there's like the last photo I saw here, which I thought was a little bit interesting, is the photo of a bunch of aliens from this planet Pasana, the Aki, natives of the planet Pasana. But these aliens, they look familiar, don't you think?
They really do look familiar. I don't know what is that species they look like, but that's that one from he first showed up, I want to say, in Return of the Jedi, and he showed up in Rogue One.
Yeah, so I'm curious, like, if that species had been named prior, and if they're overwriting that, or if that's actually the name, and I had never really. But who knows?
Or they're new, because these movies hate legacy characters.
I know. So. When I saw the picture at first, I was like, "Oh, cool! They're using like old aliens," which is a problem you've always talked about with the new movies. And then I looked at the caption, and I was like, "Huh." So I don't know, but it's a cool photo for sure. I love the new designs for a lot of these things, but yeah, and the Lando Poe one. I mean, that's just two of the coolest motherfuckers that ever lived fitting together. I mean, look at them, Jesus Christ.
I mean, if anything is known, like Oscar Isaac, like, spent a whole lot of time with Carrie Fisher, like, on the set, and it seems like the two of them became like really good friends, and I could see him doing the exact same thing with Billy D. Williams. Like, just gonna warm up to all of these like great legends of this. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited. This is getting me pretty pumped. Nothing really about Sheev in this, which I was a little bit surprised. We'll see. I'm still on the fence about the Sheev thing in general, but
I did read something in here. This is totally stupid, but like when at Celebration, Apparently, the Rise of Skywalker was the #1 trending topic on Twitter.
Sure.
And J.J. Abrams was #5. Do you know what was above him?
Sheev?
No, Supreme Leader Snoke.
What?
I know, right? It makes no sense.
That's strange.
I wish it
I
said
do wonder if anything will be revealed about Snoke at all. I don't personally care that much, but I feel like he's going to want to do something since that is his character. That my boy Ryan Johnson just took a shit all over.
What if... hang on. I won't go into that because that implies that Sheev's alive. I was going to say, what if Snoke was, an apprentice of Sheev?
Well, I mean, he could still be... I could see him having been, an apprentice of Sheev's prior to his death that, he was trying to pit against Vader or something. I don't know. We shall see. It'll all be revealed in a few months' time. But yeah, Vanity Fair, pretty cool. But this week, we're back with Jedi Apprentice again. Jedi Apprentice number 10, The Shattered Piece. I just finished this book about 15 minutes ago, so very excited. And when we come back,
That's incredible. You finished it while we were recording the podcast.
That's true. I'm sorry. About a half hour ago. And anyway, when we get back, we're going to discuss The Shattered Piece, so stay tuned.
O's and V's, put your hands together for Keegan's #1 daytime game show, Name That Object! Welcome back to Name That Object, a game show that rewards you for correctly identifying objects. I'm Vsawjack, and with me is our reigning champion, Vitar.
Hello.
Vitars is our 7-day champion, and he's won over 70,000 credits worth of barterable items. What are you going to do for the greater good with all your winnings?
I'm pretty hungry right now, so I'll probably trade it for food.
Well, that's just great, and we wish you the best of luck. But right now, Vitars, I have to ask you a very important question. Are you willing to sacrifice all your winnings for a shot at our blind mystery object jackpot? But don't answer yet. Vidano, tell him what he could win!
Vitars! In today's blind mystery jackpot, you could win designer jumpsuits courtesy of Oviv Couture, a year's supply of Viaroni, the Keeganite treat, a new job as a government-appointed roommate, and a 6-night, 7-day stay in a comfortable room in the beautiful Gathering Circle. But that's not all. Think of how great you're going to look driving around in your brand new reconditioned speeder. All this could be yours if you can name that object.
Oh my greater good. I've always wanted to be a government roommate.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think I know what he's going to say. Vitars, are you playing for today's blind mystery jackpot?
I'm going for the mystery object jackpot.
All right, Vitars, while you get fitted for your blindfold and noise-canceling headphones, we're going to tell the audience and the viewers at home what object you'll have to guess.
Today's mystery object is a lightsaber. It is the weapon of choice of the Jedi, an evil order surrounded by darkness who wish to harm the greater good.
All right, Vitars, are you ready?
I'm ready, Sajak.
I'm a game show host, not your friend, Vitars.
Sorry, V. Sajak.
All right, I need absolute quiet from the studio audience. Vitars, name that object.
It's shaft-like. It's metal. I think I know this. It smells like children. Oh, I know. It's a hand warmer.
I am so sorry, Vitars. That is incorrect.
What?
The correct answer was a lightsaber.
What in the greater good is a lightsaber?
Well, I'm sorry, but you've lost everything.
That V.O.B. tricked me. I'm gonna kill that little...
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Join us next week when we'll crown a new champion of Name That Object. Good night, everybody.
Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May. Here, as always, Levi Peretic.
Hello.
Okay, so last week we did Jedi Apprentice 9, Fight for Truth, and that book was a fairly self-contained adventure. And here we have basically another self-contained adventure, number 10, The Shattered Piece. Not much to say in preparation here. We could probably just jump right in. This is, of course,
we
it's
can.
Jude again,
this is
as always.
Yes, this is our second episode in the reboot of season 2.
This is like
Jedi Apprentice.
Yeah, like I would say that this right now we're kind of off to a bit of a slow start with the kind of second half of the series, but not in a super negative way. Just they're Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are kind of finding each other again, and I assume we're building up to another bigger storyline probably in the next few books.
Right.
But
first thing I want to say about this book is this crazy mangled Muppet-looking character on the cover. This character has driven me nuts because I look at it every time I pick up this book and I am just baffled by like how crazy looking that creature is, and like I had a very hard time picturing these were the creatures in this book.
I just kind of took a real look at the cover just now, and this is not how I imagined the creatures. I imagined them much more kind of Na'vi-esque.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah, not like, because they were talking about how tall they were. He doesn't look particularly tall.
No, he doesn't, and I don't know.
The covers are very hit or
Chapter
miss.
1. Yes. We find our heroes in the atmosphere of Rutan. Obi-Wan is overly anxious to get off the ship because their whole trip was delayed a day when their ship that they borrowed from the Senate it had some problems, so they had to get it repaired. And Qui-Gon is like, hey, boy, you gotta calm down, because the mission always starts before we even step foot on the planet. So let's recap why we're even here. So, years ago, a war broke out between the Rutan and a satellite planet, Senali. Senali was a colony of Rutan and fought for their independence. In a surprising upset that cost many lives, the Senali won. Sounds like a certain U.S. history story. Now here's where things take a turn. As part of the peace treaty between the Rutan and the Senali, they decided that at the age of 7, the firstborn of the ruler of each planet would send their child to the neighboring planet with the other ruler. The idea being that the rulers wouldn't attack each other if their child is there. And then at the age of 16, the firstborn can return to their homeworld and the next generation will take their place. But there's a reason why we're here, and that is because King Frayne of Rutan, his son, is refusing to return, and Frayne is willing to risk war to bring him back. So, the ship is coming into the atmosphere, mist, fog, and we see Testra, the capital city. But a warning goes off in the cockpit. There's a fuel leak, and they're losing fuel fast. Qui-Gon's, I gotta set the ship down in this field over there. And they have a safe landing, all right? And they're close enough to the capital that they can walk there. So they don their survival packs and they take off. But quickly, they feel a disturbance. Not in the Force, but in the ground, vibrations in the ground. They look around and see a stampede of Kunda being chased by seeker droids, heading right for them.
So, Qui-Gon, he tells Obi-Wan, jump on one of these Kudana, I believe it is, Kudana, and
okay, I can see that,
and ride it. And they jump on them, and they take out the seeker droids with their lightsabers flailing, as they take control of the Kudana. And once they take out all the seeker droids, the Kudana kind of run away, and a group of blue-skinned, super tall Rutanians, they're riding Huds, which are kind of like these dogs. And they come up, and this is King Frayne. And he says, black holes and blast the galaxy! and he's the ruler of Rutan. He's pissed because his prey escaped, and his seeker droids were destroyed. But he is the one who summoned the Jedi, and Qui-Gon, he kind of remains calm, and he points out, hey, the seeker droids, those are illegal to use for hunting on Rutan, so as to give every citizen an equal chance at the game, even the king. And King Frayne, he's like, ha, ha, ha. He laughs this off. He's just like, he appreciates Qui-Gon's quick wits, and he's like, he invites him and Obi-Wan to a feast where he'll explain the problem with the quote-unquote foul and treacherous Sonali.
So Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are taken to a dining hall. Usually, Obi-Wan is very hungry, but the smell in this dining hall, they're cooking some bloody animal carcass on a spit, and he cannot stand the smell at all. Just, this growing boy has a limit. They go to sit, but before they get to their chairs, King Frayne, he's got this boy next to him, his youngest son, Tarun. He's like, get up, I want the Jedi to sit next to me. So Tarun moves, and they get food thrown on their plates, and they think it's gross, but they still kind of eat it anyway. Qui-Gon, he's like, all right, we got some Jedi business to talk about. So he says, Prince Lead has decided to stay on Sonali here. I have a page marked here, page 15. That's page 20. Oh, okay. Decided, King Frayne interrupted with a roar. He pounded on the table. So, that lying dinko, Minon, tells me, my son has been kidnapped. But you saw the holocron yourself, Qui-Gon pointed out. I have seen it too. Prince Lead seems sincere. He has been coerced, or threatened, King Frayne insisted, forking up a huge piece of meat. He shook his fork at Qui-Gon. Or they gave him one of their potions. They are primitives, and they can use herbs and plants to cloud the mind. Lead would never decide to stay. Never. Then I guess here King Frayne starts to cry. Oh, my oldest child. He won't even face me. And, so this is why King Frayne wants to go to war with the Sonali, because they took his son from them. And he says, if they will not let Lead go, I will invade the planet and bring them to their knees. And he says, you tell them that, Jedi. You tell them I will bring them to their knees. And Qui-Gon's like, no. We're Jedi. We don't pass along threats. So the king says, fine, take my youngest son Tarun with you. And Qui-Gon refuses this because they have diplomatic Jedi business to attend to. And King Frayne's like, fine, I'll just sign an order to imprison Minon's daughter, Yana. So Qui-Gon is like, all right, we'll take Tarun with us, but you can't imprison the daughter. Frayne slams his hands on the table and shouts, done! This Jedi is clever! And he slaps Qui-Gon on the back for a negotiation well done. And he proclaims then that they will have only 3 days to bring his son back, or he is throwing Yana in the shittiest prison he can find. And I have yep. So moving on.
Okay. So Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, they do get stuck with Tarun, and they land on the planet Sonali, which Obi-Wan sees as this beautiful ocean world. And it seems it's actually. We'll get into kind of the world building stuff, but this is one of the cooler planets I feel like that's been created in the series. But anyway, the Sonali, they're the same race as the Rutanians, but they have different skin color and they have scales. And they're greeted anyway on the landing platform by Minon, who's gardening, and he calmly welcomes them. And Minon, remember, is kind of the leader of the planet, or de facto leader. And he says it's an honor to host the Jedi and all this stuff. And then when Qui-Gon asks about Lead, Minon says that Lead has gone into hiding because he doesn't want to be forced to return to Rutan. This sets Tarun off, and Tarun tells Minon that he has to address his brother by Prince Lead. And And Minon's like, ha, the Sonali don't believe in titles like you barbaric Rutanians. And Qui-Gon, he has to step in, like, and calm things down, diffuse the situation. He asks permission to search for Lead. They have no intention of forcing him to do anything, basically, is what he says. And Minon, he does grant the permission, sends them to his sister Banush Waloris's clan, and who apparently have been raising Lead while he's been on Sonali. And as they leave, Tarun is getting really pissed off. Qui-Gon mentions, he's like, we should hold off on telling your father because he might react in the same way as you are right now. And Tarun's like, I'm nothing like my father. And he proceeds then to fuck up a nearby bush. And Qui-Gon's like, you've inherited your father. Qui-Gon just says, you've inherited your father's temper, I see. So...
His character is crazy. So this is where some of the world building comes in. So a lot of the buildings are built on the water, and there are like docks and bridges that connect all of them. So we go to Minon's sister's house, and his sister is named Ganid, and she greets them. And so everybody is in clans, and the
wait a
clans
minute,
are self-governing.
I'm really glad you had to take the notes on this chapter. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Some of these chapters, these were definitely some of the longest chapters in any of these books yet.
Yeah, there's only 16 total.
Right. So we had many 10-page chapters.
I know. What a feat, reading 10 whole pages.
I know. It's so difficult because you have to take so many notes on that. So Minon's sister, Ganid, she greets them and introduces them to the rest of the clan. And when it comes to writing Star Wars, I feel like this is something, if I were to write anything Star Wars, I would have the most difficulty with this. And that is coming up with names for characters. And here Jude has come up with, including Ganid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 names for every member of this clan.
Wild.
And the names are as follows: Hinnen, Jarrett, Messan, Ton, Drenna, Weck, Noyce, Nonce, Noyce.
Like the great Australian director, Philip Noyce, director of Dead Calm. Wonderful movie with Nicole Kidman and Sam Neill and Billy Zane. Check it out. It's a classic.
That sounds like a great cast. Yeah. Toanni or something like that. Nin, Boo, Tinta, and my personal favorite, Garth.
Well, the only one you got to remember there is Drenna. So
right, this is the only important one. Drenna's the only important one. So Qui-Gon asks, "Hey, does anybody know where Lead is?" And I have a note here. This will be for a sketch later on. No, I'll make the joke. Anyway, Qui-Gon asked, "Does anyone know where Lead is?" I could have told him that's in England, but the members of the clan seem to think it's somewhere else.
It's called Leeds, my dude.
Okay. Anyway, everybody seems to have a different idea of where they think he is. Some say he's in the forest. Others say he's sailing, or he's having a good swim in the spring. And then Garth suggests, he went back to Rutan. And Qui-Gon starts talking to the small child Tinta, and through her he learns that Leeds was closest with Drienna. They had almost a brother-sister kind of relationship. So Minon's sister Ganid's like, "Hey, you guys want to stay for a midday meal?" And Qui-Gon's like, No, we got things to do. So they leave, and then they run around to the back of the house and hide in the bushes. They had to be careful because Tarun could have destroyed them easily. And they wait, and they notice Drienna leaving the house with a large pack, so they follow her.
So I think her name's Drenna.
Drenna?
because there's no A.
What have I been saying?
You've been saying Drianna. It doesn't matter.
Drianna.
I mean, but I think it's Drenna.
You're probably right.
But I mean, who knows? You know, I'm not Jude.
I'm illiterate.
But I'm not Jude, and it's fine. Anyway, so Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Tarun, they follow Drenna basically all around Sonali, and you find out kind of a little bit about the geography of the place. Most of the surfaces seem to be kind of loosely floating platforms on the water, which is kind of a cool image. And Tarun, he's having a lot of trouble navigating, and the Jedi aren't. And Tarun's like, why don't they just build some roads? And the Rotanians, they seem to resent the Sonali for not developing their world more, and they consider them primitive. And so anyway, eventually Drenna kind of slips out of their sight, and when they catch up, they realize she's led them into a trap where they can't get away from the tide is coming in. They don't have time to escape.
So Sonali has 4 moons, and this causes the tides to be just wild. So quickly, they're up to their knees in water. Qui-Gon has a plan to jump, and if any luck, they can jump and then swim to a safe spot. This sounds good, but Tarun is just like, I can't swim, because he's too good for water. So now plan B, Qui-Gon and Obi get out their liquid cable launchers, and they launch them into the side of the cliff. But the launchers can't reach all the way to the top. They reach about midway up the cliff. So they climb up, they make Tarun lead, and they're just like, oh shit, look at the rock. You can see where the water level comes up to. Tarun is high enough, but we're not. And then Obi's like, well, let's get our breathers out. So then that way, when the tide comes in, Tarun will be out of water, and then you and I will just be hanging out underwater till the tide goes away. What could possibly go wrong? But suddenly a rope drops down, and they can't see who has dropped it. So with little options, they take the rope and they climb up it, and it turns out to be Tarun's brother, Lead.
Wow. So, Lead and Tarun, they embrace immediately. They seem actually genuinely happy to see each other.
2 brothers.
And, yes. And Drenna is kind of off to the side. She's still a bit suspicious of the Jedi and stuff. Thinks that they're going to take Lead back by force. Lead apologizes for their near-death experience and reiterates that he's there of his own free will, there on Sonali, and he has no desire to return to Rutan. Qui-Gon says, he should, that's all well and good, but he should face his father, Frayne, and face him with that decision and tell him face to face, basically. Lead says that he thinks if he returned to Rutan, he'll be imprisoned by King Frayne. And Qui-Gon, he ensures, he's like, I will ensure that wouldn't happen. But Lead thinks some things are even beyond the Jedi, and his father is one of those things. So, but Qui-Gon, he presses on. He says, I have no intention of leaving until I can convince you to face your father and return to Rutan. And his resolve reminds Obi-Wan of the Melita Dawn thing again, and that kind of comes back up in this book a little bit. And he remembers the only other time he can remember somebody facing Qui-Gon's resolve with their own so strongly is when he betrayed Qui-Gon at the end of Defenders of the Dead. But Lead's like, you know what? After they face off for a minute, he's like, okay, if you're going to stay here, I'll be your host. Come with me. And so Lead leads them to his remote dwelling. It's a small hut floating on the sea. And Lead talks about his father's stubbornness. He says basically that if he would just accept my decision to stay on Sonali, then they could be in constant contact, visit each other on each other's worlds, which apparently has not really been done since the end of the war. Like, that people haven't, aside from this exchange, there hasn't been visitation between the two worlds. And Qui-Gon thinks that's a good change, but wouldn't it be a change that would be more easily made as ruler of Rutan? And Leeds just like, yeah, but Rutan is no longer my home. I would not feel comfortable becoming their leader because it's not. I haven't been there for so long. This is my home. And Obi-Wan, he understands that. He's not relating it back to Melita Dawn now. He's relating it to the Jedi Temple. He thinks that, okay, well, I wasn't born there, but I was raised there, and that's my home. So he understands this idea. And Tarun, though, is fuming, and he confronts his brother. He says, how could you be so selfish to plunge your home planet into a potential war and stay here? And, Leeds like, that's our father's war. It's not my fault if he starts a war over something like this. And, and Tarun talks about, how can you stay here with these primitive people? And this sets Drenna off. And she and Tarun, they get into it over the cultural differences between Rutan and Sonali, and shit gets super heated. And Leeds says, Leeds pissed off about it, pissed that his sister basically is being attacked by his brother. And he says he's happy that he hasn't absorbed all of their father's worst qualities. And Tarun says, Tarun's like, and I did though? I don't know. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are like, oh boy, shit's gone south. It seems like we're closer to war than ever.
So, before I start Chapter 9, I am so happy I did not have to do that chapter. There's so much going on in that chapter. Alright, so nighttime rolls in, and Lead gives them all some sleep mats to sleep on. And Qui-Gon, he's like, the tensions are high, but he believes a good night's sleep will do everybody some good. Which it does, because in the morning, Drenna offers to teach Tarun how to swim and fish. And he's like, no, I am not submitting to your stupid, primitive ways. But basically everybody in the house starts making fun of him, so he begrudgingly accepts. And then Lead shows Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan how to fish, which involves swimming underwater with a spear, then spearing the fish in the tail where it'll feel no pain. And this particular fish has these claws that you can tear off and eat, and the fish will grow them back. So they spend the whole morning just gathering fish, tearing off claws, having a good time. And turns out Tarun is just like a natural swimmer and a fisherman. And Qui-Gon sees him smiling for the first time. They have a big old claw bake, and they eat like kings, and they get so full they have leftovers. So Lead takes it to a neighboring clan who can't fish because the water around their island is controlled by another clan, so all they have to eat is like fruit and nuts. So Qui-Gon, he says, why doesn't Minon do anything about this? And he's told that Minon is more of a figurehead and doesn't actually have any power because the clans are self-governing. Tarun admits that he was quick to judge and accepts his brother's decision to stay. And Lead's like, you know what? I'm sorry too. I'm going to return to Rutan and face my father with this decision. I'm going to tell him to his face that I'm staying on Sonali. And Tarun, he's going to stay on Sonali while Lead is away. So they go to bed, and Qui-Gon is awakened by something, a noise in the middle of the night. He runs outside and sees a boat rowing away, and inside the boat are a bunch of folks who are covered in white clay, he assumes to hide their identity. And he sees Lead bound and gagged. He's too far away to swim, and Qui-Gon basically mutters to himself, well, shit.
So, I actually want to read the last line of that chapter, the last paragraph there, just because it's a great little piece of Jude writing. Lead had been kidnapped right under their noses, just as Qui-Gon was no doubt dreaming of a benevolent galaxy of stars. Just great sentence, that's all. Anyway,
very good.
So, picking up from there, Tarun immediately accuses Drenna of being behind the kidnapping, and she's very shaken by the whole thing. Obi-Wan's not sure who to believe, and Drenna says that while most Sonalis support Lead's decision to stay there, some don't want a Rutanian permanently living in their midst. And Tarun says that they have to contact his father at once. Qui-Gon thinks they should investigate first so that when they do contact him, they can offer some hope along with the bad news. And Tarun's like, no. And the Jedi do relent because he'll contact him no matter what. They get a hold of King Frayne, who tells Tarun to return to Rutan because he doesn't want him to be taken as a prisoner of war. And like Qui-Gon's like, wait, hold up. War? What are we talking about? And then King Frayne just says, yup, you Jedi, you got 12 hours to find Lead, or I'm going to launch a full-scale attack on Sonali.
Well, after that thing went awry, they decide they better call Minon, too. So they get him on the phone, and turns out he already knows about King Frayne's plan for war. And Minon himself, he's ready. He's ready. He's got his troops mobilized. They're actually going to bring the battle to them first. And you know why? Because that jerk-faced Frayne has imprisoned his daughter. And so Qui-Gon, he's got to talk him down. He's like, okay, we don't want war. Come on, man. Give me 12 hours. I'm going to find Lead, and then I'm going to make sure your daughter goes free. So Minon agrees. When Qui-Gon mentions to Minon that the people who took Lead were smeared with light clay, Minon believes that it's a clan known as the Ghost Ones, and that they have they just showed up and they've been making a lot of trouble between the other clans. They are against the trade of the firstborn royals, and he suggests that you should take Drenna as a guide, and she'll help you find him. Find the Ghost Ones. So when Qui-Gon goes to get Drenna, she's already swimming away looking for clues. So they swim after her, and the clues start to pour in because those fish that they were stealing the legs from, turns out they are shy. And when boats come around, they bury themselves under the ground, making little mounds of dirt. So they follow the mounds to a remote island. They make their way on land and find the clay-smeared clan sleeping up in the trees. And oh, look over there. There's Lead tied to a tree. They move quietly, but one of these ghostly fellows turns in his bed, waking for merely a moment, and he screams, "Intruders!"
So the kidnappers, they're all using dart shooters. And so... they deduce that Lead's probably going to be paralyzed partially, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they use their lightsabers to deflect raining darts down from the top, and they're by spinning the lightsabers in the air and essentially deflecting all the darts. Pretty cool moment there. And Drenna climbs up, cuts Lead down, and while the Jedi, they cut down Lead's boat and make it land face down on the kidnappers, trapping them. And then they let Lead know about his father's threat of invasion, and Lead, who's hasn't been affected that much by the venom, he agrees that he has to return to Rutan immediately. They hitch a ride back to the city and hop in the Jedi ship and head back to Rutan. And Drina comes along with them. And when they reach Rutan... This chapter kind of moves quickly here. When they reach Rutan, King Frayne embraces Lead's return. He's like, okay, finally, my son came back to me. But Lead, he reasserts his desire to stay on Sonali, and it infuriates King Frayne. They have a very volatile debate. Lead believes Tarun should lead Rutan, but Frayne believes Tarun is soft. And so... when they kind of reach an impasse. They keep fighting, and it seems that Frayne might imprison Lead to keep him there. And Qui-Gon, he's like, okay, yeah, but what about Yana, Minon's daughter, that you have in prison? Says that you should says to Frayne that you should free her now that I've returned Lead to you. And Frayne denies that he ever made such a deal. Says that he'll hold Yana until Lead begins royal preparation, till he's all in basically on staying, and so holding his feelings hostage basically is what I wrote here. And so after Frayne kind of stalks away, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Drina, and Lead, they begin hatching a plan to break Yana out of prison.
So Obi-Wan's a little worried here. He thinks this whole thing is going a little bit too far beyond their Jedi duty. And Qui-Gon reassures him on page 92, and he says, "Don't worry, Padawan. I'm beginning to see how this whole situation can be resolved." He smiled. "We just have to break someone out of prison first." So Lead explains a very convoluted plan, but he first must tell a story that makes the convoluted plan make sense. So the first time he told his father he wanted to stay on Sonali, Lead was home visiting Rutan, and his father got so mad he threw his son in prison for a day and claimed it was part of his royal training that he needs to know what the prison system is like in order to be an effective leader. So when Lead was there, a bird got in the building, and the building is covered in sensors, and this bird kept tripping the sensors, and it made the security system believe there was a prison break going on. And every time the sensors would trip, it would automatically send a message to King Frayne. And the king was so pissed that they had to shut down the system until they got the bird out. He demanded it. So the plan is for Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Drina to get arrested and thrown in prison. Then Drina will take a dart gun, and she's going to slyly shoot the various sensors, making them seem like there's a bird in the building. While this is going on, Lead is going to tour the building as part of his royal training. And when all the sensors are going off, he's going to suggest that, hey, you guys should shut down the system or my dad's going to be pissed again. So with the system shut down, the crew is going to be able to break out of their prison cells and rescue Minon's daughter. They put this plan into action by first getting themselves arrested, and they do this by setting up a tent and a grill in the public square. And the cops show up and are like, hey, no loitering. You can't cook in public like this.
This is how I would get arrested, right?
Yeah. So the cops, they're like, oh, you know what? You guys pack it up and go, but my shift's almost over. We're going home. We're letting you off with a warning. And this isn't going to work out. So Qui-Gon he's like, hey, come back here. And he goes, you will take us to prison. So he mind tricks them, and they're just like, okay. So the chapter ends with them getting locked up.
So they're taken to prison. Drina blows the darts into the sensor, set the system off. Guards go crazy. Lead arrives, pretends to be pissed, distracts the wardens and the guards. They get out of their cells. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Drena, they find Yana's cell. They take out the one guard there with a dart. Yana's like, don't worry, you'll be fine in 30 minutes. And, not Yana, I'm sorry, Drena. And Yana, she's kind of hesitant to trust these Jedi, but Qui-Gon's like, we're going to take you back to your father, so she comes with them. And they get out to the landing platform where their transport is, which is eerily empty, this platform. And so they flip their lightsabers on, but then blaster fire comes. Drina, though, she takes most of these soldiers down. She takes care of this quick. And King Frayne, he shows up with one of his neck dogs, and he compliments Drena on her shooting ability, and Drena calms the neck dog down, which further impresses Frayne. Frayne's like, wow, this lady is impressive. And so Frayne is like, where's the girl, Yana, that you broke out of my prison? And Qui-Gon, he's like, we are not going to return her to you. One of Minon's demands to keep the war from happening is simply that his daughter is returned safely. So why are we going to let you keep her? And Lead agrees to stay. but Lead's like, I'm gonna stay because I don't want you to hold this girl here. You've held me hostage basically, but I'll stay. And Frayne is like, okay, cool, but I still want a Sonali on my planet so they won't attack us. Basically the original agreement that started this whole mess. And so Drenna, she offers herself. She's like, I am what's his name? Menon. I'm Menon's niece. And so I hope that's close enough, and he agrees to keep her there. And Qui-Gon, he's like, you're not going to imprison her, right? And he's like, I won't. She'll stay basically at the palace, and she'll take care of the dogs basically because she's good with the dogs. And he's going to send Tarun to Sonali. And Drenna points out he hates it there. And he's like, good, I know he'll come back then. So Lead thanks the Jedi for what they tried to do for him, but his duty must prevail, ultimately. They leave, and the Jedi are going to take Yana back to Sonali. And Obi-Wan is kind of surprised by the outcome of this mission. We're going to read a little bit here on page 109.
Alrighty.
And
109. There.
All right, so starting there, it's why don't you start with that second paragraph? You be Obi-Wan.
Okay, so at least Drenna will be here in time, Obi-Wan observed. That will give Lead a great comfort. This mission hasn't ended as I thought it would. Somehow I thought Lead would be allowed to remain on Sonali.
Is that what you hoped would happen, Padawan? Qui-Gon asked. This time you must tell me the truth. And they had a conversation earlier where Obi-Wan wasn't open about what he wanted to happen, basically. So.
Right. So Qui-Gon had known he had evaded his question back on Sonali. At least I did not want to tell you that At first, I did not want to tell you that I sympathized with Lead, Obi-Wan admitted. I thought it would remind you of my decision to stay on Melita Dawn and leave the Jedi. I thought it might give you pause about my commitment to you.
We have put that matter behind us, Padawan, Qui-Gon said. Do not be afraid to share your feelings with me. I would never hold them against you.
My feelings seem to change from day to day, Obi-Wan admitted. When King Frayne spoke to his son, I was moved by his argument too.
That is because there is no clear answer, Qui-Gon said. Emotions are tangled, as I said in the beginning.
Well, there won't be any war, Obi-Wan said in conclusion. I'm sorry for Lead, but at least the planets remain peaceful.
You are wrong, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon said, his eyes on the Kane's transport as it rose in the air. The mission is not over, and I fear the two worlds are closer to war than ever. So that's the end of that chapter, and that was a surprise to me when I read it. I was like, okay, this is near the end of the book. What's going to happen?
Right. This is a cool passage though, because like in these previous books, Obi-Wan has always had a difficult time telling Qui-Gon like his exact feelings. He holds a lot in, but this is nice here that Qui-Gon's like, you can tell me anything. We're bros.
Yeah, absolutely.
So closer to war than ever, Obi-Wan thinks. But Qui-Gon's like, we got one more loose end. The kidnappers. Who are the kidnappers?
Yes.
So he has a suspicion, and he tells Obi about it. And he's like, why were they covered in mud? To look fierce? Or were they hiding something? Hiding that they weren't Sonalis? As you said before, Sonalis have little scales on their face that the Rutans don't have. So perhaps they were hiding that they weren't Sonali with the mud on their faces. And another thing, at the camp when they had the big deflect all the poison dart scene, they noticed that there were breathers there so they could swim underwater. Sonalis don't use breathers to swim because they're such great swimmers. Apparently Qui-Gon knew this when they attacked, but he hasn't said anything up until this point because he wasn't sure who was behind the attack. That's until he noticed a box of royal seeker droids on the island. Huh? and the only person who has access to the seeker droids is Tarun. Whoa, what? So Tarun, who is supposed to be on a ship to Sonali, Qui-Gon's like, you know what, I got a sneaking suspicion that he's still here. So let's go look for him at the Royal School of Leadership. I just want to point out here, this is a school, there's mention that Tarun has friends at this school. Why are multiple children being sent to the School of Leadership? Are they prepping many
There's a different
future
types
leaders
of
the monarchy?
I
guess so.
The Royal Academy is not only for royals, you know.
True.
So.
All right. So they get there, they see a teacher in the hallway, and they're like, hey, have you seen Tarun? And she's like, no, or he, I can't remember which it is. I didn't write it down. She's like, oh, Tarun, he's got so many friends. We're going to miss him so much when he's on Sonali. And he's like, I haven't seen him, but he's usually in the tech room because him and his dork friends like to take apart program boards and stuff in there. So they head to the tech room, and surprise, surprise, Tarun is there. When they enter, he's like, oh, I forgot something. I'm packing my bags now. And Qui-Gon's like, but you weren't packing bags when we walked in. So this is convoluted again. And we're going to just read here, and we're going to have to read a lot. This is 116, 117, 118. I'll stop at some point. So Qui-Gon, he gets right to the point. Start, Tim, you read Qui-Gon. Start with Tarun. We don't.
All right. Tarun, we don't have time for evasions, Qui-Gon said. I think you were behind your brother's kidnapping on Sonali.
That's ridiculous! Tarun cried. Why would I arrange such a thing? I love my brother, and I am a patriot.
Both of those things are true, Qui-Gon said. You love your brother, but you are also angry at him for turning his back on you. You are a patriot, but you would arrange an attack on Rutan in hopes Lead would be blamed. But Lead is here, Tarun. I doubt the king will blame him. He will blame Minan. Maybe he will retaliate and a war will result. But perhaps you don't care about that. Perhaps you think such an event would tear Lead in two. Perhaps you want this.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know that there will not be war, Tarun said. My father talks and talks and talks, but he will not attack. Anyway, I had nothing to do with any of this.
You know your father will not attack Sonali for sure? You are willing to gamble lives on it? Qui-Gon questioned, his tone growing in intensity. Obi-Wan did not think he could have withstood such a piercing gaze.
Tarun's glance slid away. You can talk to me this way.
Qui-Gon strolled further into the room. Let me tell you what I think happened, he says. You enlisted a small group of Rutanians. Perhaps they are friends of yours at school, a mix of those who are close to you and those who hope to benefit should you become king instead of Lead. While you remained on Rutan, this group secretly traveled to Sonali and established a ghostly identity, just enough to alert Minan of their presence. They smeared themselves with clay so that no one would be able to see that their skin wasn't scaled. They stole things or violated sacred places so that different clans would grow angry with one another. They fostered unrest to gain attention and dislike among the Sonali. All of this you planned.
Sweat beaded up on Tarun's forehead. You can prove anything!
You arranged to kidnap Lead because during his disappearance you would arrange an attack on Rutan. You wanted him as the leader of the Ghost Ones, to be blamed. Even though Lead escaped, you decided to continue with the plan. Evidence will point to Lead as the one who orchestrated the attack. This will serve to banish Lead from Rutan forever, and won't make him terribly popular on Sonali either, as the Ghost Ones will suddenly disappear. The Sonalis will blame Lead too. He will be left with no world at all, no supporters, and you will become king. Isn't that right, Tarun? You betrayed your brother for your own ambition.
Not ambition, for love of my planet. Tarun burst out. Leda's right. He is not the true ruler of Rutan. He doesn't deserve what will happen. He turned his back on us long ago. He is my brother. He should have thought of his family. He should have thought about me. I grew up without him. I had to withstand the rages of our father. He grew up with care and love, and I grew up with neglect. So you don't have to read any further here.
But yeah, that's the plan, basically.
Yeah, it's convoluted. So then this is where Qui-Gon's like, okay, so what's the deal with the Seeker droids? Because that's the one thing we don't know. And he said, oh, well, I have an attack planned, but nobody's going to get hurt. And Qui-Gon's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, I've reprogrammed the Seeker droids so that when my dad goes on a hunt, instead of targeting the Kundana, they will target his neck dog kennels. And because he hates these dogs so much, he thinks they're such vile creatures. No one will be hurt except the dogs. And there's a section here on page 19. What's so terrible? The necks are horrible creatures. They attack anything, even their own kind. Yes, Qui-Gon said softly. Attacking one's kind is truly despicable. Crushed him. And then, well, Qui-Gon then informs Tarun, well, Drina is working the kennels now, and he's like, what? I was not aware of that. And he's like, quick, it's too late to stop the Seekers, we have to save her. Well, take my car. And they all hop in his car, and they head off to save Drina.
So, chapter 16, the final chapter, they're heading to the kennels, and as they're heading to the kennels, there's a conversation here between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I want you to read Obi-Wan. It's on page 121, the first page of chapter 16. It starts with, I'm confused again. If you could read. Okay. It's very short here.
All right. I'm confused again, Obi-Wan said, leaning closer to Qui-Gon and speaking in a low voice. I thought Tarun hated Drina. Why should knowing she's in danger make any difference to him?
Qui-Gon gave a short smile. Remember what I told you at the start of the mission, Padawan. Words do not always echo feelings. You saw two enemies. I saw two young beings fighting an attraction they knew was inappropriate. Keep reading.
Obi-Wan shook his head. I did not see that at all.
Do not fret, Qui-Gon said serenely. Perhaps if you were older, you would have. In any event, there are things that you see that I do not, such is the nature of the effective Master Padawan team. Drena and Tarun wanna fuck? This,
yes, they
this
do.
Is a little bit out of nowhere, I have to say. I don't believe in this like Den and Andra. It's not quite, not quite star-crossed lovers for me. But anyway, they do head to the kennels, and Drena's about to go in there, start her job, I guess, dealing with the dogs. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they run towards her and yell, they warn her about the Seeker droids, which are right above, basically, and she springs directly into action. Drena and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, they make relatively quick work of the Seekers. They take them out. And the last one is destroyed by Tarun, who fires his blaster at it. And right as Frayne comes out, King Frayne, and Tarun immediately fesses up to his diabolical plan. So he explains the plan again to everybody and explains his kind of selfish motivations for it. And Frayne actually thinks this is good. He thinks that Tarun is clever and cunning and would actually make a good leader. He offers to give him the leadership of the planet and allow Lee to return to Sonali. And, Drena is the most hesitant to not let this roll off. She's like, hey, your apology wouldn't have worked so well if I had actually been in there and died. And but for some reason, apparently, Frayne implies that you'll be a great king and you're going to need a great queen, and look who's right here, Drenna. You guys obviously want to fuck, apparently. And so it's very strange. And then Frayne also forgives the Jedi for destroying his secret droids again and invites them to dinner. And then a little bit later, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan return lead to Sonali, and they're about to head away, and we're going to read the last couple pages here, page 129 and 130. And on, let's see here, just start, you'll start again as Obi-Wan. Halfway down,
Okay. I thought I had already learned what I needed to know about personal happiness. About how personal happiness can conflict with duty, Obi-Wan said, watching Lead. At first I thought Lead should remain here, but I thought just as strongly that he should return to his own world, and now I feel like he belongs here after all. Obi-Wan sighed. I spent much of this mission in a state of confusion.
That is good, Padawan, Qui-Gon said. It means you are learning.
When I think about how I left the Jedi Order, the memory is so painful, Obi-Wan said slowly. It's hard not to feel discouraged that I have so much more to learn.
It should not be cause for discouragement, Qui-Gon said gently. Life is both learning and relearning. You can confront the same issue over and over and find a deeper meaning each time, like Don Draper. The learning deepens, and that is what nourishes us. You should take comfort in the fact that life will always surprise you. You taught me after Melita Dawn that my own ideas needed to expand. I have my own lessons to learn.
Well, it is good to hear that you don't know everything, Obi-Wan told his master with a smile.
Not nearly, Padawan, Qui-Gon said. Not nearly enough, I suspect. Even with sureness, there must be doubt. It is the Jedi way. So,
wow.
That's the end of that book. Do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, because I want to discuss, I think I've noticed a hole in the story.
Oh, interesting.
I have in my notes that when Lead left Solani, Tarun stayed behind in his place. And that makes sense, because otherwise there would be no Rutanian on Sonali.
He didn't.
However, he didn't stay behind?
No, because it was a heightened moment. I didn't mention this. I should have. Basically,
okay.
When he was threatening war, he called Tarun back to the planet, and he sent Tarun back to the school. That's why they had to go to the school to find him.
I gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. You can cut that if you want.
Oh, no problem.
All right. So, yeah. So, this book here is not my favorite of these books. I feel like the last two... when I read chapter 15, which was the chapter I was taking notes on, I read it once, and then I had to read it again because it made no sense to me. Tarun coming out as the mastermind behind all this was completely out of left field, and they had a whole lot to explain why he did it, and even then it wasn't much of an explanation. And then this whole love thing.
It's just not hinted at all. Like, even in the chapter where they go swimming or whatever, it doesn't feel like a...
Yeah. He smiles. That's all he does.
They smile
there.
At each other, but it's like they should have had another adventure together, if that at least bare minimum before he should have been along for the rescue of Lead or something. It's not. But yeah.
But
I guess he couldn't have been because he was the one who. But whatever, I don't know.
It was completely out of left field. It's very strange turn in this book. Not sure where it would end up. If anything, too, Rutan, so Tarun will be king one day, But, like, Tarun's, like, not a good guy, so, like, King Frain's already a shitty guy, and now they're going to have another crappy ruler.
Yeah, the attempt at kind of, like, moral equivalency between, like, the different choices here was rough, I thought. It was, because Frain is, like, clearly a tyrant. Like, it's not like,
yes,
like, he's a bad guy.
Like, he's using seeker droids, which are outlawed on his planet, so he's, like, breaking a law.
I assumed that, when, what's his name? The other one, fuck.
Menon.
I assumed when Menon was introduced, like, oh, there's going to be something about him that's not good, and it's like, not really. Like, like he's a little stubborn once war seems to be coming, but like he's like clearly a much better leader. Like, there's like not like, it's just that Sonali is a better world. I was kind of surprised there wasn't more complexity to it compared to some other stuff. But I will say this: I think this book, I really was enjoying it for most of it until that turn happens. Like, I like,
me too.
I really like the I like Sonali a lot. Like, as a world, I think it was very evocative, and I wonder if there's any like good fan art of it. I think it's a planet idea that they could maybe even take advantage of again. I think it's actually an aesthetically interesting idea for a planet. So, like, there's a lot, and I liked the characters. Like, I even liked Tarun, but Tarun became, like, a complete, like, when he did the 180, it didn't make any sense to me. But, yeah, I like, this is, you know, a kind of minor misstep. I preferred the previous, like, if I sounded down on the last episode about that book, I wasn't really. It's just that felt like a kind of starting point. This book is much less good than that. I would say that's a much stronger, just overall story. But this one, it may be my least favorite book in the series so far. I don't know about you.
I am agreeing with you of that.
It's the ending is the problem. Like, it's just, the ending is so out of left field. Like, I don't know if it would be my least favorite if, like, the ending made more sense, but it's just, I'm not a huge fan of it. Thankfully, like, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger or anything. Like, this is not going to be a continued thing that I can't buy into this relationship. But, yeah, I don't know. I think you can't win them all. When you write a book every other month, that some of them aren't going to be great. So,
right. I see here that Sonali has shown up one other time in the Legends universe, and it was mentioned in New Jedi Order Force Heretic 1 Remnant.
Well, you know, maybe it's something to look at. Let Leland Chi know, or whoever.
Oh, here's what it says. It says, as the Yuzhan Vong made their way through the galaxy, Rutan and Sonali were politically divided by the Peace Bridge. Several months after this, the Sonali were wiped out by the Yuzhan Vong.
Ugh. That bums me out.
Ew.
I hate New Jedi
I know,
Order.
right?
I know, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are fans, but a lot of stuff about that annoys me. We're never going to talk about that on the show. Anyways,
I'm going to give it a 4. And I guess I'm rating it... okay, yes. I'm going to rate it Bant. Because of all the swimming in this book, it reminded me of Bant.
That's good. Let's see. I don't want to... I mean, 4 seems about right, but it doesn't deserve Corran Horn, who's too cool.
Well, I mean, give it a new character.
Oh, man. Okay, well, who's a character that is not... I don't know. How about... This is difficult. See, I'm trying to think of a Force person.
I guess they don't have to be... I mean, it's low enough on the list. It doesn't have to be, like, a Jedi or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't know. How about it's... Fuck, this is hard. I wish that I had a better idea, because I'm not going to give him Corran. Corn's too cool.
This is not a sign of the midichlorian scale being flawed.
Yeah, it's not. It is what it is. We need to add more characters for sure. It's a great graphic, guys. Check it out. I'll the fish thing, you took that. That's so good. I don't know. How about one of those little Mon Cala younglings from Clone Wars? Have you gotten to that yet?
Okay. No, but all right. Sounds good.
Okay. Okay.
4 and 4.
We agree all the time. This is a problem.
You know what? That's just going to be the show.
Yeah, we just agree all the time.
Point,
I hope there's one of the series going forward. Like when we cover one of the series, I hope one of us likes it and one of us doesn't. That'd be fun.
Right, that it's so divisive that one of us thinks it's perfect while the other one thinks it's so deeply flawed that we physically fight over it.
Oh, that'd be fun. Anyway.
Post it on the YouTube.
That'd be great. So yeah, 4 is all around for the Shattered piece. A bit of a disappointment, but it's, I'm still excited about next week. We're going to do, of course, The Deadly Hunter, number 11 in Jedi Apprentice. And there's a big, that's what we're going to get into actually now. We don't have any letters this week, and please send us more letters, but we are going to announce now our schedule basically through the beginning of September. We, of course, are covering Jedi Apprentice primarily, but we have our off-week episodes. Every 3 episodes, we do another thing. And so we're just going to reveal one by one, week by week, our schedule for the rest, for basically the rest of the summer. So are you excited about this?
This is a lot of books
we're
reading.
Locking it in. So we can't make any changes from here on. We're doing this. So next week, June 7th, we are covering, of course, Jedi Apprentice number 11, The Deadly Hunter. All right, and then we're on our off week the next week, June 14th. We are going to cover, oh boy, Join the Resistance.
Big reveal.
Join the Resistance by Ben Blacker and Ben Acker. Apparently they're real names.
It's such a funny name.
We'll talk about them on that podcast, but anyway, this is a 3-book series that takes place in the new canon that has started a couple years ago, and they seem to be putting them out, I think, once a year, basically. So there might be a 4th book by this summer, but we'll cover that later. We'll see. But exciting, it takes place before Force Awakens. It's about young cadets in the Resistance flying force, so that's kind of cool and somewhat interesting to me. Are you looking forward to that?
It'll be fun. I haven't heard of these books, so I have no expectations going in. So
it's coming in the mail.
I will be pleasantly surprised. Yep,
it's coming in the mail for me today, so I will.
Oh wow! I just ordered mine today, actually. Yeah. So mine will be coming. I actually ordered 7 books. So
exciting!
I got a big package coming.
And we're gonna post like a graphic or something with our schedule too at some point. So
yeah.
But June 21st, back to Jedi Apprentice, number 12, The Evil Experiment, and June 28th, Jedi Apprentice 13, The Dangerous Rescue, and then on July 5th, Jedi Apprentice 14, The Ties That Bind. Anyway, and then July 12th, we're on our off week again, and this summer is the summer of Join the Resistance. We're just knocking these books out. So we're going to do Join the Resistance number 2, Escape from Vodran. So hopefully we like this series because we're covering all of them this summer. So then the following week, July 19th, we got Jedi Apprentice 15, which is The Death of Hope. Well, I'm excited for that one. July 26th, number 16, The Call to Vengeance.
Hang on, real quick though.
Yes.
So, does Hope actually die in this one, and it's not until A New Hope that there's new hope?
Oh, yes!
That Hope is reborn?
I hope you make that same joke on that episode.
I hope so as well.
Anyway, yes, number 16 on July 26th is The Call to Vengeance. August 2nd, Jedi Apprentice 17, The Only Witness. And then our off week again, our last off week for the Jedi Apprentice era, August 9th, Join the Resistance number 3, Attack on Starkiller Base. So, if there is another Join the Resistance, I wonder if that means it'll be post Last Jedi. Interesting. So, August 16th, we got Jedi Apprentice number 18, the last book in the regular series, The Threat Within. Then, August 23rd, the Jedi Apprentice Special Edition, Deceptions. A bit longer this time. You're going to have to read a few more pages. You were whining about that privately.
200 pages as opposed to the 130.
Oh no. We'll be able to handle it. August 30th, a day before my birthday, listeners. Something to keep in mind. I don't know what that means. You don't have to send me anything. I'm sorry. Jedi Apprentice Special Edition number 2, the finale, the last Jedi Apprentice book. Number 2, The Followers. But that's not going to be the last Jedi Apprentice themed episode, because on September 6th, we're wrapping this all up. We're going to do a big Jedi Apprentice celebration wrap up. We're going to do probably top 5 books, top 5 characters, all that kind of stuff. And as a bonus, we're also going to read the new Claudia Gray novel, Master and Apprentice, which is an adult novel. So it's not an official review or anything, but we're going to read that book and talk about it. We're not going to recap it the way we do these books, so because that would be like 3 or 4 episodes. So
right,
we're just gonna
we're also going to at some point, and this will be the surprise. So get reading, folks. At some point during this stretch, we will recap Leia, also written by Claudia Gray, and
we've been putting that off as like a front section.
Yeah, when we have nothing else to talk about, we'll talk about Leia.
It's a very good book.
So
recommended,
I think,
by both of us.
A must-read for anybody if you liked Lost Stars, if you like Master and Apprentice, check out Leia, too.
And
I still need to read Bloodline.
So, yeah, that's our week-by-week breakdown for the next few months. We're not going to give any week-by-week stuff after that, but roughly speaking, if you really want to read all the way ahead, we're going to do a few miscellaneous books in September, and then in October we're going to cover the first 4 Galaxy of Fear books. That's pretty locked in, so we're going to go spooky and do that, and then we're probably going to start Jedi Quest, the sequel series to Apprentice, in November. So that's roughly the rest of the year. There's going to be other things that'll change and stuff, but those next 3 months up through September 6th are locked in. So if you guys really want to read all the way ahead, or if you just want to read along, get these books.
Join the book club.
Join the book club. Check it out. In the meantime, email us, padawanlibrary@gmail.com.
What do you think of this schedule? What books would you like to hear us read?
Of course.
Let us know.
We know a lot of... This is one thing I will say. We know a lot of suggestions are going to be like Junior Jedi Knights and like other series. We are going to get to those, but we do want to kind of move through the Jude Watson series, and then we're going to take little breaks with like Galaxy of Fear for the October and that kind of stuff, but like it might be a bit before we get to some of your favorite series, but we are going to keep the plan is to cover every book in this category at some point. So
picture it this way, listeners. This whole thing, I think we have enough content that we can fill out 2 years, and maybe in the 3rd year, we may be running a little short.
It's about 2.5 years worth of books, roughly. I worked it out the other day.
So about half of that is Jude Watson. So we're going to work through all of that. with the hope and prayer that maybe one day Jude will answer some of our questions. And then from that point, it may be a turning point in the show because there won't be any more Jude Watson books to read, which means there's the possibility that these books from there on out just might not be good.
Well, sure, but first of all, there will be other good books. I know there are other good books. There are other people that can write Star Wars books. I'm not like, I also haven't, other than Glove of Darth Vader, I mean, we've only really read one other book, which I know you were not a big fan of, but is not like a bad book. So
no, it's fine.
I think we'll be fine. There are many other things to cover. There's Rebel Force. There's, of course, Junior Jedi Knights. There's Boba Fett, which we might do between Jedi Quest and Last of the Jedi. The future of the show is pretty wide open at this point, but aside from these next 3 months, they are locked in. So get excited for the rest of Jedi Apprentice, and we're gonna break it up a little bit with some new canon stuff. Join the Resistance, 1, 2, 3. So get excited about that.
Do you have a Rick revelation? Email us.
Yes.
Do you have a fan fiction story worth sharing? Email
us. PadawanLibrary@gmail.com, or message us on Facebook, Padawan Library, or DM us on Instagram or Twitter at Padawan Library. Also, rate and review the show. No, we don't have any reviews on iTunes or Apple Podcasts
but
yet.
We do have a 5-star rating.
We do? That's great.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do.
That's very exciting. If you guys could go and rate 5 stars only, that would be great. And if you could write if a couple of our listeners would be willing to write reviews, it would be helpful, because that is kind of how things start to get rolling as far as growing the audience, I think. So please do that if you have the time or the inclination. But anyway, in the meantime, join the book club. We gave you a bunch of books for your summer reading list. So check those out. And next week, we are, as I said, we're covering The Deadly Hunter, Jedi Apprentice number 11. So get ready for that one next week and the rest of the summer. So join the book club. Anything else to say?
Nope, I got nothing.
All right. Library is closed.
All right. Bye.
Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by the Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2019 by Tim May and Levi Peretic. All rights reserved.